Hey everyone. Today I'm going to talk about what I think we should do about healthcare in America. We've all seen what has been happening regarding the proposed Obamacare repeals, right? To get straight to the point, I think what we should do is pass a law that requires doctors to print out a sheet of paper that clearly states the name of what they want to do, a description of what that is, as well as its intended functions are, the applicable codes for what they want to do, how much they are going to charge for what they want to do, and that sheet of paper requires the patient's signature before the doctor's office does it, and if they don't have that signature, then you don't owe it. This signature would be required for everything the doctor does on an item by item, line by line, parsed out basis. Each item requires your signature of approval before it is done. What you will end up with is a sheet of things the doctor wants to do, or possibly multiple sheets, and you will need to sign that same sheet in multiple places. The signature should be required on the same side of the page as the price, right under the price tag. And the price tag should be clear, bold, and no font on the page can be larger than the actual price number. The font must be at least 12-point font size and cannot be some bizarre color that makes it hard to read. Other than that, repeal Obamacare. This is my contribution to the solution to healthcare, the healthcare problem in this country. Is that the only thing that could be done? No, probably not. But I just gave you the answer first. Now, let me explain why I think this very simple solution will go a very, very long way to solving a lot of the problems that we have with our healthcare system. By the way, who am I? Some guy? Am I some expert? No. So why is this a good solution? Well, in order to understand that, we have to understand what's wrong with the current system. What is wrong with it? It's very much a bottom line problem. It's too expensive. But why is it too expensive? What causes that? And the answer, I believe, is lack of competition. It's lack of capitalism. The solution goes a long way to fix that problem. Now, I should point out that's not the only reason for healthcare to be too expensive. There's a whole laundry list of problems that you could write up about why that is. But I believe that my solution that I suggested, I believe that addresses probably a lot of them. Not all of them, but probably quite a few. It would probably go quite a long ways to fixing the problem. So, but what am I talking about? Let's talk about some examples. So let's say you're sick, and you call up a doctor's office. You say, "Doc, I'm sick. Help." And they say, "Okay, well, let's set you up an appointment." You come in. And then they say, "Okay, do you have insurance?" And we can go through a couple examples here, but let's just start off with a very simplistic example and say this person does not have health insurance. You just don't have health insurance. And you say, "No, I don't." And they say, "Okay, well, that means that if you want to engage our services, you're going to need to pay us yourself out of your pocket." And you say, "Well, okay, that's fine. How much is it going to cost?" And so how does this process work? Well, first of all, they're going to sit you down in their waiting room, and they're going to make you fill out a bunch of paperwork. And has anyone actually read the paperwork that you fill out? I'm sure a lot of people will say, "Yeah, they just want you to fill out your name and your address and your signature and what date it is a whole bunch." Yeah, that's what they want you to fill out, but do you know what you're actually signing? I would be willing to bet that a lot of people probably don't. And so it's a variety of things, but included in those things, the thing that I want to focus on, there's other stuff like tell us where it hurts and what kind of medications are you on, and blah blah blah, stuff like that. Your health information privacy and so on and so forth. But the thing that I want to focus on is included in that paperwork is a contract that states that when you engage their services, they're going to do whatever they think is going to be appropriate to do with you. And then you are going to incur liability. You will owe for the services that they render to you. And if you have health insurance, then the health insurance, there's a contract between the health insurance company and the doctor, but and that will help you pay for whatever it is that you owe. But in a more simplistic example, the example that we're starting with, it's assuming you don't have any health insurance. Okay, so then in that case, you'll just owe whatever it is. So you're signing a contract that says, yes, I agree that I legally owe whatever it is for the services that you render. And that sounds all well and good, except then when you go up to them and say, well, how much is this going to cost? They're going to tell you, we can't tell you that. And you say, what? And they won't tell you. They won't tell you. I have been to doctors' offices. They won't tell you. And so you say, well, why is that? Explain it to me, right? What is the reasoning for this? And they'll tell you, well, we don't know what the doctor's going to do, for example, so how could we possibly tell you how much it's going to cost when, for one thing, various amounts of people have different kinds of health insurance. So one person has Blue Cross Blue Shield, one person has Aetna, one person has United Healthcare, one person has Humana, whatever. There's all these different health insurance companies. And so they say, well, then the amount that is the allowable amount for what the doctor does is going to be different from health insurance company to health insurance company. And so it would be a different amount that you would have to pay depending on what your insurance is. And you say, well, that's great, but I don't have any health insurance, so I just have to pay whatever you guys are going to charge. Just tell me how much you're going to charge. They still won't tell you. And you say, why not? And they say, because we still don't know what the doctor's going to do. You see, there are different codes. What if you get in there and the doctor just talks to you, and that's it? See, that's one fee. But then if the doctor says, okay, we have to run some blood work, and then whether you want to have the blood work run here, if they do that, or if they say, well, okay, we're going to need to get you an X-ray or a CT scan, or I'm going to take a biopsy, depending on, I need a ultrasound on your thyroid or something. It depends on what kind of doctor you're going to go to and what needs to be done. So you say, all right, I guess that makes a certain amount of sense. So, all right, but I don't necessarily buy that, because I still think that they should be able to tell you how much debt you are incurring just to go talk to the doctor. Really, you should know how much it's going to cost to engage their most basic service. You should always be able to know what this is going to cost before you owe it, because under this current system, it's basically forcing you to write them a blank check, really, because you're going to go see them and they're going to say, well, all right, we're going to do the following things, and then when you walk out, if they tell you, okay, that's going to be $1,500, and you say, whoa, wait a minute, that is way more than I thought this was going to cost. And they're going to tell you what would give you the idea that it wouldn't cost that much. We never told you how much anything would cost, whether it be more or less. You might have thought that it was going to cost $70 or $120 or $250 or $500. But the thing is, a lot of doctors' offices say right on, is a fairly commonly posted thing, payment due upon services rendered. And you signed a contract that says, yeah, I agree that I legally owe this whenever the services are rendered. But see, they're not going to tell you how much you actually owe until after the services are rendered. So there's no way that you could know how much debt you're actually incurring until after you've incurred it, which is basically a blank check. You're just saying, yeah, here's my credit card, pretty much, and you go ahead and do whatever it is that you think, and then you can tell me how much it costs afterwards. Now, I said that it prevents, diminishes the amount of competition, diminishes the amount of capitalism going on here. How so? Well, think about it. If you go into a doctor's office, you say, hey, look, I need help, and they say, okay, and you do their system that I just described, and then they tell you, you're going to owe this amount, and you disagree with that, and you say, I don't think it should cost that much. It doesn't matter what you think anymore. You owe it. And you can take that to a court if you want to, and they will tell you, you owe it. You have to. You have that debt. You have to pay. And, but then what if you had said, well, if I had known it was going to cost that much, I wouldn't have gone to this doctor. I would have found a different doctor who would do it cheaper. Or, I didn't know that the doctor's x-rays were going to cost that much, or I would have gone to this imaging center that can do it cheaper, or, I didn't know the blood work was going to cost that much. I would have went over to, Quest Diagnostics or LabCorp or something, whatever. Who knows, right? And you can say, well, I would have done this, and maybe you would have. Maybe you're telling the truth. Maybe you would have done that. But you're not at this point, because the thing is, you've already had it done. The doctor's office already rendered the services. So there's no opportunity for you to look at the price and then determine, I'm not willing to pay that price, I'm going to go someplace else. That's what capitalism is. That's what competition is. And the system is basically set up in a way that prevents that. Because how are you supposed to shop around to see, well, who's the cheapest doctor, if they're not going to tell you how much it's actually going to cost to go see them, right? So, you can't do that. But if they had to tell you every single price tag before you owe it, then they would have to tell you, okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to have a consultation with the doctor. That's going to cost however much that doctor charges. And if they say, well, that's going to be $400, you can say, that seems awful stiff. And they say, and then they can either defend themselves, and they can say, well, this doctor is very good, and we believe that this particular doctor is better than the local peers of that doctor, and so we feel justified in charging $400. So if you are willing to pay the $400, then very well, go ahead and do so. If you feel that's not fair, we feel that it is fair, and you are perfectly able to go find another doctor, basically. And then if you say, well, this doctor is really pretty good, I'm willing to pay the $400, then go ahead and do so. If you say, I think that's too stiff. Especially considering that I think that I've just got a cold or something, I've just got the flu or whatever, right? Depends on what you've got, right? So, if you said, well, I'm going to go down to this other doctor whose consultation fee is $70 or $120 or something, then you can leave. And then if too many patients do that, then this doctor that's charging $400 and they think that they're worth it, if they can't get enough patients to satisfy themselves, whatever their personal goals are, then they'll have to come to grips with the fact that they think they're worth $400 per consultation, and they're going to have to realize, oh wait, no, I'm not. I'm going to have to lower those prices, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. So that'll happen. And then, but let's say you say, you're going to go to this $120 doctor, right, down the street. And so you go there. So you've already saved some money, and you go and you have your consultation, and the $70 doctor, you thought about them, but you thought, yeah, but I read some reviews online or something, and it seems like that person, nah, I'll go for the $120 doctor.